This is Gary Atencio with CNTV, and today we're in Colorado Springs, Colorado. I'm here at Christian Success Ministries. Since 2006, this nonprofit has been helping you learn how to find God's will for your life. I am here with the president, CEO, founder. Jim, thanks so much for joining us here today. Let's start off a little bit back on your history. We're talking about military, airborne. You've done a lot of things in your life. You have really helped people when it comes to manage their financial portfolios, planning for retirement, financial planning. You're definitely no stranger to people who have become successful out there. But let's go ahead and talk about the latter part of what you've been doing here, your focus. Share with me a little bit how this story got started.
Okay. Well, Gary, I decided not to just help people plan for their lives financially, but I decided to help people plan for their life and life purpose.
In general.
In
so
general,
not just financial, but in general,
right.
Their life.
Yes, yes. Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you this. Webster's definition of success is basically the accomplishment of an aim or a purpose. Mm-hmm. What would you say the definition of success is in your organization?
Well, success, I find, is for people to find out what their purpose in life is. Why were they born into this world, and what are they to do with their life? And so is the primary goal.
One thing about 2020 is that it slowed all of us down a little bit. And I think it made many of us wonder that exact question. What is the purpose of all this? Do you think it was important for us to kind of slow down and not be so distracted of making a living?
Well, I think that's true. However, what we're focusing on really is helping people deal with issues that they've had in their life from the past, which will influence what their purpose is and what their long-range goal is for their life. And I found that when I talk to most people, I say, what do you think you were created to be? What do you think God created your purpose? And I would say probably 95% of the people don't have a good answer for that.
That is interesting.
Yes, it really is.
When you think about it, in the schools out there, we're taught how to make a living. Reading, writing, arithmetic, yet we're not taught how to make a life, something that we can be proud of, something that we've been called to. Why do you think the education that you're providing for people out there maybe is more necessary today than it was even in the past?
Okay, because I find that there's an expression that the problem is with life is that we live it daily. And so we get up each day, we go to work, we come home, and each day becomes a routine. And yet actually, God designed, before you were born, He designed two things. He designed the gifts, talents, and abilities that He was going to put in you. And if He's going to make you a unique person in that respect, He also has a unique plan for your life. And so most people don't have a clue about that. And so my job is to help people find out what that plan is, but I also find out that a lot of people initially don't have a very good opinion of themselves.
I believe that.
And if you don't have a good opinion of yourselves and there's a plan for you, you're never going to find the plan because you're going to be looking at the things that have happened to you in the past. And generally speaking, we think of negative things as opposed to positive things. And you may say, well, why is that? Well, it's because when something negative happens to us, there's an emotion attached to that. And it's the emotion that really drives us in what we do. So I find most people are driving down the road and they end up looking in the rearview mirror at the past and not into the future.
Too much time looking in the past, you're definitely not going to go where you need to be. A motivational speaker, Tony Robbins, once said that success leaves clues. Do you think that in the good book there's many clues about how we should live our life, but do you feel people need kind of some guidance as to how that pertains to their life and what they're trying to do?
Exactly. There's a scripture that says, as a man thinks, in his heart, so is he. So where everybody is in their life, no matter how successful they are, is based on things that have happened in their past. Good, bad, ugly, whatever. And so it's a matter of saying, all right, what are those things in my life that are holding me back because I see myself a certain way? And if you can find out what those things are, there's a way to deal with that so that you deal with that, and then it opens the door for the next part of the thing to say, well, how good are you? What are your gifts, talents, and abilities? You'll never see your gifts, talents, and abilities if you don't first know how to deal with the issues that are blocking that vision.
That's interesting. One of the lines in that book is Ephesians 2:10. Share with me why you feel that actual passage really kind of wraps up the cornerstone of what your mission is here with your nonprofit.
Okay. Everyone is made in the image of God. And so Ephesians 2:10 talks about that. You are God's workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which you ordained before time that you should walk in them. And I always thought in the past that that applied primarily to Christians. It applies to everybody. Everybody was born with a plan and a mission that God had designed specifically for them that no one else has.
That is great. The truth will set you free. For lack of knowledge, my people will perish. Do you think that when people are empowered with this kind of awareness that there is a plan, do you think that really frees them up to truly be what God wanted them to be?
Exactly. So when you get rid of the issues that have been bothering you,
okay,
and then you see how wonderfully made you are, you see your gifts, talents, and abilities, the next thing to say, all right, I need to look into my heart to find out what the plan is. Because the plan is in the heart of every individual. That's why the scripture says, as a man thinks, not with his mind, but as he thinks with his heart, so is he. So we have a vision, you have a vision in you of what you think you are and what you think you can become. I have one as well. The vision is the thing that determines where you go in your life. And if the vision is the vision that God gave you, then you will begin to fulfill that plan. And he will take all those gifts and talents and abilities that he's given you, and he'll begin to use those to accomplish that plan.
So really that process is about pulling that out of our heart, finding out what it is. Jim, obviously the mission of what you're doing here is pretty clear to see. So let's talk a little bit about how you're able to do that. We're talking about seminars. Is this a seminar over hours, over days? Tell me a little bit about that.
Okay. I used to do seminars, and what I found it was a one-day seminar, but in order for this program to work in someone's life, they have to, it's a life change type of thing, and it happens over time. So people would go through the seminar and say, oh, this is terrific, everybody ought to go through this. But then it was a one-day thing. So over time I developed a program, and I have a manual. I have a 129-page manual which that people can purchase.
We use two approaches: a one-day seminar with 6 follow-up workshops, or an 8-step program presented in 1.5-hour weekly segments.
Hi, I'm Jim Wharton. The other day I shared some thoughts on the purpose of purpose. Today I want to share some words that apply to you, me, and everyone who has ever been born. You are God's workmanship, and he don't make no junk. And did you know that you are so unique that you have talents, gifts, and abilities that no one else on the earth has? Like fingerprints, everyone has a unique set of them. Hard to imagine, isn't it? For there are so many billions of people on the earth. You might be like one I asked about his gifts, talents, and abilities. He responded with, I don't have any talents at all. Not so. He just couldn't see them because of some of the negative experiences of his life. Once he began to see how gifted, talented, and able he was, his life and purpose changed dramatically. If that is where you are right now,
not seeing yourself in a positive light, life can be a new and exciting experience like it was for him. You can wake up to a purpose each day with enthusiasm and excitement. Reflect on what it might be that could happen to you. When we meet again, I will tell you how you can begin to see those talents, gifts, and abilities that can make you a winner. Share this with someone else. It might be just what they need to hear. Until next time, be blessed.
That is interesting. So let's talk a little bit about what they're going to experience, this process, if you will. I mean, before a person can decide what they're going to do in the future, we have to look at where we're at in the present.
Yeah.
Meaning, who are we? And even more than who we are, who does God think we are? Because that's the real vision of what we should be looking at. Is this something that is kind of hard for people to really look in the mirror and maybe see what others see easily, but they don't see for themselves?
Yes, what I have found is that I ask people, when was the last time you did an evaluation of your gifts, talents, and abilities? When have you looked at yourself and said, you know, I can do this, 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 and this? No one. I have never found anybody to do that. So it's a real eye-opener for people when they begin to look into their heart, and I can't tell them how good they are. They have to find that out. God will reveal that to them. And when that happens, it begins, a light bulb goes on, it begins to transform their life.
In your experience of working with people, even with family, do you find that people have a hard time seeing their talents, seeing their gifts, and once they actually do that, I mean, that has to be kind of an exciting moment, kind of an
Yes.
aha life changer.
Right. Well, the first part of it is saying, how do you see yourself? That's where you start. And because most people see themselves based on life experiences that generally are not positive experiences. That's what they remember because there's an emotion attached to that, and they spend their life trying to avoid those type of circumstances in the future. So you're not going to really see how God created you until you can learn how to deal with those things and get rid of them, in essence. So I can't give them to you. The only place I can give them is to God.
So basically, we're looking at our present, we're understanding that we have value regardless of where we're at right now in our life. But at the same time, we have to look at our past and get rid of some of these things that were put in place that aren't empowering us and really are not true at all. But we've grown up, and because like you said, there's emotion attached, we believe them.
Yes, exactly. And it's changing your belief system, really. And saying, you know, that's not really who I am. My father may have said, I'm no good, I'm worth nothing, or whatever. And I've seen that happen many, many times. And a person carries that in their life, and consequently, that's the way they value everything that they do in their life based on something negative that's happened. So our goal is to have them recognize that's not who you are. Someone said that about you, but God says that's not who you are. But you have to know how to deal with that, and we teach people how to take those negative things and get them out of their life. And it's so huge. It's a transformational thing that happens.
Back when you used to do the seminars in person, I mean, these were interactive learning experiences. It wasn't just a day of information and you basically say, oh, that was a nice way to save some time. This was something that really changed people. But then, like you said, then a person's able to leave with 129 pages of a blueprint.
Right.
I mean, really a guide for your life. Do you think that's important that they stick with that and not look at it like just one course or one day, but something that was a changing point, but now they're different?
Well, yeah, it's the type of thing that you learn these principles and you apply them the rest of your life. The idea is to try to apply them daily, because as someone once said, we all leak. And so you learn something and you have to practice it and practice it till it becomes second nature to you. And then when that happens, you have it. But for example, you may be feeling very good about your life right now, and tomorrow some negative thing is going to come in. So the question is, how do I deal with that? See, so we teach people how to deal with those particular issues and get rid of them. Basically what you do, you give them to God, your creator. And so initially we have a lot of baggage, and it takes a longer time to get rid of it. But once you learn this process, tomorrow if something negatively happens, you just say, oh, it's an example of, let's say you have a bird that can land on your head. You just don't let it make a nest, so you brush it off. But we're always going to be facing issues, but if you have a process that you know that is scriptural, that works, it'll revolutionize your life and keep you on the track.
Revolutionize your life. Like you said, this is really a game changer for a lot of people. I imagine some of the stories that you hear are amazing. When you began, this was seminars that you provided for faith-based businesses, ministries, coaches, individuals. Now that you're able to offer this online, it really is able to get out there to people much faster. Is this technology something people have embraced and they're glad that they can do it from the comfort of their own home?
Yes, exactly. So if you use a program that allows you to have, I could do it with 50 or 100 people, and it's interactive. And the beauty of the whole program is it's not lecture and you sit there and listen. It's active. You're involved almost from the very beginning in learning things and practicing things that you will carry for the rest of your life.
That is interesting. A lot of the folks that you've been able to help, I imagine the stories are great, but you've even seen this happen within your own family. You've actually seen people change directions. Is it exciting for them? I mean, their outlook on life seem to change when you know you're doing what you're doing what you're supposed to be doing here?
Right. Well, this actually happened. How it started is with my son, who was in business for himself. And he was doing very well. He was the best in the business in what he did. He did what they call hard surface repair. And one day we sat in his truck and he says, "Dad, I don't think I should do this anymore." I said, "Jim, you're the best in the business." He could not see how good he was. He was better than the man who trained him, who had been in the business for 20 years. I tried to convince him about that, and he said, "No, I just can't see that." He said, "Maybe I should become an electrician, because if you're an electrician, you see the end product, and that was going to help you." So what happened with him, I gave him the phone number of an electrician. A week went by. I said, "Jim, come on over to the house." And we sat in the family room, and I had no idea what I was going to say to him, but God did. And I said, "Jim, I want you to just take a piece of paper, and I want you to write down the gifts and talents and abilities that you think you have." So he wrote a few down, and I knew some others, and I said, "Well, what about this? You can do this." "Yeah, I guess so." So he made that list, and I said, "Now what I want you to do is I want you to look into your heart and say, 'Okay, God, what am I to do with those things? What do you want me to be? What do you want me to do? And what do you want me to have in my life?'" And through that process, all of a sudden he began to see things he had never seen before, something he had always hoped for, but he said, "I'm not sure I could accomplish that." Now, because he saw his gifts, he said, "Yeah, I think I'd like that." In 3 hours, literally transformed his life.
Wow.
And within a year time, he gave away his business to an employee and started a new business. And he is so successful in what he's doing because, see, he wakes up each day knowing what his purpose is and what the plan is. And when you know what the purpose and plan is, it's incredible, the motivation that you have. And even though he may work very, very hard and harder than he's ever done in his life, because of the purpose, it draws him. He has a vision for where he's going. And that's the whole purpose of this, is to help people get a vision, find out what is that vision that God put in your heart, and how do you activate that? And this whole program is designed to show you how to find that, how to get rid of the negative things, see how wonderfully made you are, and then begin to work toward that purpose. And it's incredible.
That is incredible. I mean, Jim, you basically, for nearly half a century, you prepared people for their financial future.
Yeah.
You have now, for this time in your life, your focus is basically preparing people so when they do meet their maker, he's going to say, well done, my good and faithful
Exactly.
servant. I mean, that has to be one of the greatest things you've ever done. Is this rewarding for you every day?
Oh, it is. I love to motivate people because I know what the end product is. And one of my favorite things is to walk up to somebody, even a stranger. I'll walk up to them and say, "Can I tell you something about yourself?" When you say that to people, they kind of, well, what's he going to say? And I said, "Do you know that you're a good man? And you want to know why? Well, yeah, because you're made in the image of God, and He gave you great gifts, talents, and abilities that no other man has on the face of the earth. You're totally unique." I've had men break down in tears because they've never had anybody tell them
Sure.
that they were good. I remember one time I was talking to a woman in the store. She was actually, it was a restaurant, and she had her Bible out and she was reading and so forth. And I had finished my meeting with another person, and as I walked by, I went over to her and I said, "Excuse me, ma'am, is that a good book that you have there?" Of course, it was the Bible. She said, "Oh, it is." I said, "Well, tell me what's good about it." And so we talked a little bit, and I finally said to her, "May I tell you something about yourself?" And she said, "What?" I said, "I want you to know that you're an amazing woman." Tears welled up in her eyes. It was incredible. And I said, "You know why? Because you're made in the image of God, and He gave you great gifts, talents, and abilities that no other woman like you, or no other person has on the face of the earth." Tears pouring down her face. She had never heard someone say that to her before, that she was an amazing woman.
Incredible.
And I love to do that.
That
I'll
is-
go in stores and restaurants, and if I see somebody alone, I'll walk up to them, stranger, and I'll just say it. I just did it the other day with someone, and they said, "You know, I needed to hear that. I can't tell you how many times I've heard that from people. Thank you. I needed to hear that." It's
I needed
incredible.
to hear that. Your program obviously is going to touch a lot of people out there. We are glad to introduce it out there to our viewing public. Viewers, if you take a look at the bottom of the screen right there, you're going to see their website. First of all, on the website, learn more about this opportunity that basically can come right in your home because of, we're talking about videos, 12 videos to help you out, 129 pages that will really be your blueprint and guide on putting together a successful life that you're proud of and excited to get up for. Check out their mailing list, and obviously take a look at yourself, look in the mirror and ask yourself, what am I here for? And basically that will begin the process for you of maybe reaching out to this organization. Once again, that is Christian Success Ministries, learning God's plan for you, and then you can make it a reality in your life. This is Gary Atencio with CNTV, and if you don't know, now you know.